Okay. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Geopolitics and money.
Money. We decided to change the name of the channel from Geopolitics in Conflict to Geopolitics and Money. There is a reason for that, guys. This is why you haven't seen us here on this channel for a long time. By the way, someone asked about you yesterday on the other channel.
Well, thank you,
And I
whoever
said,
you
you'll
were.
see us a bit tomorrow. So anyway, very excited to be with you guys. And once again, we're gonna be talking about the economic aspects of it. This is what the focus is gonna be now, on the economic and the financial aspects of it. That is where it's gonna be strictly. Of course, geopolitics is part of everything you can consider. Like we always say, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. This is one of the reasons. However, we were thinking about in terms of, okay, how can we help the community understand one of the fundamental things? And that one is finances. And that's the reason why we decided to go ahead and focus this channel on that aspect moving forward, including the guests we're going to be having. And we are working on a long list of guests in the financial aspects, in the investments, economy, and so forth. So that doesn't mean we won't have once in a while someone in geopolitics. We will. It's just this is where the focus is going to be. So we want you to be aware of this one here. So what are we going to be talking about? How are you, by the way?
Sorry, guys. You know what? The gap in the channel has been on me. I've had some other stuff going on. But, you know, you and David, oh my God, you and I, you're David.
Yeah.
You and I, when we were talking about, you know, what's going on in the world, I think the biggest issue that we ran into was we either have a global recession that many people say has already started, or it's coming. And regardless of whether you like the United States or not, the United States financially is tied to many other countries' currencies. And even though some of the BRICS nations are really building that up, they haven't built it up yet enough to make up for a global collapse of basically a United States collapse. So we figured the thing that was probably the most important to tell you guys or to bring to you guys is financial. Because what financial literacy, is it taught in school?
No. I remember when I was teaching, you know, believe it or not, I will go out of my way. And I didn't mind, because that's a responsibility for my students. And I want them to get as much info as possible. So when I will talk about, for example, the government spending.
Yeah.
And I found myself talking about the basics of finance, for example, just for them to understand. They said, Dr. O, we never studied this before in those classes before we took this one. And I was like,
that's insanity.
Yeah.
That's insanity, because nothing in geopolitics can be taken away from the financial. Nothing can be taken away from money. And so, you know, we're about to dive into Donald Trump's new kind of plan for taking over everything, taking Greenland, taking Panama, taking this, taking that.
The trade, tariffs with Europe and China and all that. And what all that means for you guys.
Yeah.
Because if you think this is not going to impact you, you are mistaken. I'll say it's direct, straightforward, guys. All of us will be impacted.
Yeah.
I mean, it really concerns me a great deal. Here in the US, Americans have no clue. Have no clue. And I don't generalize, of course, but I have no clue about the idea that Trump now is pushing for these tariffs against China. And people have no idea about the impact that's going to trickle down to their pockets, our pockets, all of us.
So the thing about Trump, that when he came into office 3 days ago, he already very much had an economic plan. So one thing, you know, love him or hate him, he is the president now. So you have to move forward with that, right? So the reality about it is that he has a very, very aggressive plan. Now, whether a president can achieve what he sets out to achieve is a whole other thing. But he has a very, very aggressive economic plan, because fundamentally Trump understands business. And I think he is the largest proponent for big business as a president. I mean, the Biden administration was very, very in the pocket of big business also, but Trump very much is catering to big business. So there are a couple of things that he wants to do. The first is, I will talk about, I would love to do a whole show on Greenland, because Greenland is so strategically important. And you think like, oh, well, he's like talking about all this dumb stuff about taking it by force or whatever.
Yeah.
No, there are real reasons. And Greenland was used by the United States in World War II. I mean, Greenland has been very strategic for a long time, and especially now that the ice is melting, it's more and more strategic.
So the routes, yeah. Well, it's also because of the idea we still have some military presence there.
Absolutely, as a matter of fact, we do.
I do remember one time flew over.
Really?
I was on my way. Oh, it didn't stop. I was just flying over. Because we were going through our own. This is not a public plane, whatever. Yeah. So we thought, oh, by the way, guys, look down. That's Greenland. That's the military installations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we do have a presence for radar systems, very advanced ones that can track any missiles launched from around the world.
From Russia,
and the reason why, not just Russia, all over, but the reason why, because of the strategic location, is geography right in the. The distance between Greenland is closer to New York than it is to any other location. So
really, yeah. That is. We have a map back here. Granted, it's it's kind of the skewed map because it's like art, but
But anyway, that is the importance of all this is to understand how, for example, a statement like that. Of course, it challenges the norm. Where is the rule of law? Where is whatever the U.S. claimed for? If he is threatening to use force, but you have to look behind the scenes as to what really the reason for that.
Yes.
This is not about just taking it under America's authority, but there's something else.
Right. Well, okay. So there's actually so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Panama. We're going to talk about David, I think you want to talk about Volkswagen potentially being acquired by a Chinese company.
Yeah.
Huge stuff. Also, China is making bids for so okay, let's dive into Greenland for a second.
Let's do that. We'll do one parts at a time. This way our viewers will not get overwhelmed with so much information. So by the way, before we move, if you have any questions, put them on. We'll answer super sticker questions, guys. You all know about the need for help with this channel as well. So and we can do it without you. You all know how it is. I don't need to say things that you guys do not know already. So that's one of the ways. Should you decide to help the channel, just put a super sticker for your question, and we will be happy to answer it.
Definitely. Thank you for saying that, David.
Well, it's a reality. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm not a wealthy person. I live within my means, and I'm content. I'm happy with. I don't strive for this financial status. I don't need. I'm content where I am. But if I had the means to help the channel move forward, I will do it, of course, and help other channels as well. The ones that they need help. This is not about just us. So that's why we are asking for your help moving forward with this.
I think it is a misconception that YouTube pays very well.
No.
It does not.
No, it does not. So we all
this is a labor of love for sure. Okay, let's dive into Greenland for a second, because let me share this with you guys. So this is from a report. It is the review of critical raw material resource potential in Greenland. It comes from the Department of Mapping and Mineral Resources. It is by Rosa Kalvig, Stendal, and Keating. I hope I pronounced their names correctly. But what's really important about this is the assessment of raw minerals that are in Greenland and their importance in terms of their importance in especially the technological sector. So there is a couple of really important factors to this. Number one, all countries are pushing for artificial intelligence. There is a massive AI race going on. There's a massive AI race because whoever wins the AI race is who is sort of the country on top. AI has an enormous amount of uses, an enormous amount of potential, and there's a massive AI race. The problem with that is that we have a greater and greater need for technology, right? So as they're pushing the green agenda, whether you agree with it or not, it is being pushed. So there's the green agenda, lithium batteries for cars. All of these minerals go into your phone, into your laptop, into computing parts. So these minerals are very, very important for industry, and they're very important for technology. The deal with this, so you can see see here economic impact and supply risk. So and especially the red ones are the little red dots are the most, they're considered most critical by the EU. And so you can see how important these minerals that Greenland has are. I will put a link for you guys to this entire research study. They did a phenomenal job if you want to look at this more, because the shipping lanes are very, very important also. As the ice melts, now they're shipping lanes. Yeah. But these rare earth minerals, take a look at what these are. Lithium, titanium, manganese, nickel, copper, lead, zinc, sulfur. I mean, look at all of these.
Those are the key. And those reminds me of the companies that have reached out to us to do advertisement and promotion for them was about these elements, because you know the chances. Now, here is one key question for you. Please just answer in the chat box if you would like to take part in the conversation. Which other country in the world really have some massive reserves into all this? Not all of them, but majority. There's only one country that we are concerned about.
Yes.
So which one, guys? If you can type in, I'm going to take a look in the chat box, and just to Ramples 01, Russia,
go lower,
to a degree. YT, Russia.
Go lower. No, keep going. Go lower.
No, Russia has Russia has gas and natural oil and so forth.
Yeah, Russia.
We're talking about elements.
Yes.
YT, you got it. You got it. It's China.
Yep.
China, and you need to understand. Yeah, other countries do have some of that. China has access to massive reserves, and this is what you guys need to understand. That whatever now moving forward with American foreign policy stuff. I already did a video for you yesterday on the other channel regarding Marco Rubio's statements.
Yeah.
Already China is a threat. Why they are saying all this is to create fear, of course, to put into motion that idea that we're going to have to fear China to the point that we're going to have to create more tensions, whatever. Right. But what is at the heart of it is economics.
Straight up.
This is why Donald Trump's statement regarding Greenland is not some. Yes, we all know Donald Trump is a provocateur.
Absolutely,
that's just his
that's
personality.
His personality.
That's how it is. But there is also some reality, and also what he's saying. Having access to those natural resources paves the way for the AI domain, for the EV domains, for other advances that China has made strides on. As a matter of fact, this morning. And by the way, I'm going to be doing a video for you guys tomorrow on the other channel regarding the speech of Trump, but I'm going to approach it from a political aspect. And one of the things he mentioned about putting about $500 billion in the AI infrastructure.
Right.
Guess what just happened right after that? Elon Musk pushed back against it. So now you start to see it's going to, tension's going to emerge from within. But here is one thing I need you to, if you recall, if you had a chance to watch the swearing ceremony of the president, who was in the front row?
Tech elite.
You got it.
Tech elite.
Right there. Right there. It gives you an idea. And that doesn't stem from, we want to do this, whatever. It stems from the concern they have, meaning the administration and its people, whatever, over China's advancements in technology. That is what's at the heart of it.
Yeah.
And we are very concerned that we're going to fall behind.
Well, I think that's also a very legitimate concern. And anybody who is really...
Well, it is. But at the same time, if you can compete, you compete. You don't create tensions. You don't go and foment this kind of warmongering fear. You don't go on. You compete, meaning you improve your establishments, which we don't have. Right. You graduate more students in STEM, which we don't do. Right. That is what you invest your money in infrastructure, not sending it to Ukraine and Israel. So we got to be realistic here. And this is what American people do not get, don't understand. They don't get it.
Well, here's the thing: is I think people actually are starting to get it now. Granted, you're absolutely right, not on like a large scale, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the Trump administration, that's actually one of the things they're really pushing for, is to bring all of this back to the United States.
Yeah.
Because people started paying attention to like, hey, stuff is actually terrible around here, and I think he is incorrectly blaming China.
I agree.
You need to blame at home. Like at home is what did that, not China. So he's putting the problem somewhere else. But that is political. That's how politicians operate.
Yeah.
Politicians, what are they supposed to do? Be like, okay, sorry, it was our fault. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to say, oh, it's somebody else's fault. They're going to blame somebody else. Okay, fantastic. But I think most people are really starting, not most people, many people are starting to wake up to that actually fundamentally is the problem, is that we were not investing in the United States. So when Trump came out, I mean, he came out swinging, and you're right, he's a provocateur. And I read all of the like, F you Trump from Denmark. They're like, it's not for sale, F you, whatever. They'll come to some kind of agreement, because what's happened in the past. So in terms of rare earth minerals, and I know I'm really attached to this, but it's really important. That Panama Canal is really important, and the North American, the Union of North America is actually very, very important too. And there's so much I want to dive into.
That's why I also wanted to change the name of Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That gives some other. Let me go back quickly to Greenland. There is another reason also why all this all of a sudden emerged, because it didn't emerge during the incompetent President Biden, but now it's emerging. It's just the truth of it. It has to do with China's investments in Greenland. It's because when China steps in with investments, all of a sudden, did we invest in Greenland?
Well, so we are starting to invest in Greenland. So that's another piece of this. So you're absolutely right. So even recently, China came in and wanted to mine, basically. And so, but the US over and over and over again, anytime China is trying to come in and put infrastructure in Greenland to do mining, the US has come in and it's not outbid them, but somehow the Danish government's been like,
actually, we pressured.
Yes.
We pressured. I read some.
I don't want to say it that way. But
no, it is straightforward.
It's true.
We pressured the Danish government to pressure Greenland, because remember, the status of Greenland is some semi-autonomous.
Yeah.
That's what the agreement was between them. When I went to Copenhagen back in the 80s, 87 or 88, whatever, I used to hear about Greenland. And I was like, where is it? It's like, well, you have to travel, whatever. But it was the idea that, I remember some people I used to talk to at that time, they say, no, it falls under Denmark. So that's the official. However, the Danish government gave them that autonomy. Why? Semi-autonomous, not autonomous, semi-autonomous. Why? Because Greenland depends financially on Denmark. So when China wanted to, here is the thing, what the US government was saying versus the truth that I read, China wasn't about just mining. China was also about building infrastructure, airports, bridges, and some other pertain to agricultural aspects of it. And that's when the US pressured the Denmark government in Copenhagen pressured Greenland. That's why they went down. So makes me just wonder now, with Trump's thinking of using force, are you going to activate Article 5 of NATO?
He's not going to. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
But the fact that he mentioned it, it's troubling.
The thing is, that's who he is. Okay. Do you remember last
time
in
international relations? Context matters.
Absolutely.
Context matters. How do you think other countries is going to be thinking about? Let's just go to Asia, for example, South China Sea. How do you think some small island in South China Sea that is affiliated with the country throughout history all of a sudden finds itself approached by the Americans? Because mind you, we already sent a team to Australia. To now talk about this Quad. What for?
Well, so
makes you just wonder.
One thing I will say about Donald Trump, because the reality is that under Biden, people were, the conversation of civil war was very substantial.
Yeah.
Like people here are in bad shape. That has not changed.
Yeah.
But people here are in bad shape. It was a combination of many presidents before Biden. So I am not blaming Biden exclusively. But what Donald Trump did, and quite frankly, this is part of the reason he won. The other part is that the Democrats did a super terrible job, whatever. But the point is, Donald Trump is coming out swinging for America. That is something that he's talking about here, and a pride in our country that we have not had in a long time. Do I agree with how he's doing it?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So I want to be really clear. I do not agree with how he's doing it. It is not diplomatic. I think it's a bad idea and a bad tactic.
Yeah.
But what he is doing is he's trying to speak to Americans to get the country back on track in some way.
Yeah.
Do I think he's actually doing that? No. Do I think that he is catering to large corporate interests above the people? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
yes.
Yeah.
I think he absolutely is. I don't think he's a man of the people. He is literally an elite. He is literally a 1%er, right? Yeah. He's for Trump is for Trump. But he is speaking to the fact that the United States has hated itself for a long time, and for good reason. I mean, what the United States has done globally over the past, I don't know how many decades, at least since World War II, probably before that, quite frankly, has been a bad guy on the global stage. But I do think he's stoking the flames of being the bad guy even more now.
Well, look at who he nominates for the key positions: Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor. You get the idea.
Yeah.
So the envoys to the West Asia, that all this hints as to what lies ahead.
It's very aggressive. It's a very aggressive.
It's not going to work.
Very aggressive.
The world has changed. Things have changed. So this is one. So just to go back to the point about the Greenland aspects of it, this one has to do, like I mentioned earlier, with the China's approach to, because China has already been investing in the Arctic with Russia. And when you think about, for example, and I kept some pictures just in case we might, when you think about, for example, when the melting from the Arctic aspects of it, it was one picture that I kept way back. If I still, or just think about this one here, guys. Just think about the pipeline. That is the one that is going. Look where it's coming from. This one here, and I disclosed it in my Russia book. I provided a copy of that one into this because it highlights to you guys where things are. So China has been investing serious money into. So the concern we had about Greenland, it's not about just the Greenland as an independent, but about you don't want to let China because it's like the way that is happening right now in Africa,
right,
or Latin America for that matter,
right.
And this is why that statement about taking over Panama Canal came about.
Absolutely.
Why wasn't talked about, let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Why Trump didn't say anything when he was back in 2018 or between 2016 and 20? Why wasn't it say all of a sudden Panama Canal?
Yeah.
Because if you understand why, you understand about China's presence in Latin America. Even though the investments of China in Latin America, especially towards Panama, has kind of been reduced. As I said to you guys last time, I remember, and I have a link for it here. I'm going to post it for you. This is if you want to take a look at it later on. I had a chance yesterday to attend a presentation about Latin America. Very, very, very interesting. And I posted into the community, guys. Just
here, David, put it in the chat because they can't click it from there.
They can't?
No. Yeah, you got to put it in the chat.
Okay, I'll do that. Let me guys, it's a very, very. I asked the question there, and they were able to address my question because it pertained to Panama. And the question I asked simply, is this about Panama or is it about China's
No,
presence
it's absolutely
in
about
Latin
China.
America?
The whole thing is about China.
Yeah.
So let me actually share this, David. Let me add this. So this actually is recent. So this is speaking to exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
U.S. lobbied Greenland rare earth developer Tanbreeze not to sell to China, mining.com. Which I really like because it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think mining is interesting because it's sort of fundamental to just about everything that we have. But basically, yeah, like if you look at it, there was a lot. So Tony Sage, CEO of Critical Metals, told Reuters there was a lot of pressure not to sell to China. Barnes accepted a payment of $5 million cash and $211 million in critical metal stocks for Tanbreeze, far less than Chinese firms offered. So this is literally exactly what you were talking about.
That's the key word, far less than what they offer. This brings me just a side note on TikTok. You remember when they were talking about, oh, you got to sell it. You got to sell it to an American, you know. And for how much? For how much they were asking? $100 million.
Well, and so the reality of that is, like, do I think that China was collecting data on the US?
So we are as well. We are as well.
Tell me that our social medias are also not doing that. Tell me our cell phones are not doing that, right? So obviously, everything is spying on us right now.
It was about control.
It was about control.
It was about control. I will say it straightforward. Collecting data or not, we all know. Once you go into the internet, you will know you are giving up your what's privacy. As a matter of fact, this is why Trump now is mentioning about ending censorship in America. We shall see.
We shall see.
It turns out to be that information now coming up that Microsoft has helped Israel in its war in Gaza has been. But what concerns me the most is that Mr. Trump reached out to Bill Gates. Why?
Well, I mean,
you know, this is what I'm saying.
Trump's an elite.
Right? It's all, you know,
he's an elite.
No matter what you hear, it's for domestic consumption, no more, no less. If they were true and sincere reforms in the American systems, you start from the ground up. You don't start, you start from the ground up.
I'm hoping that some of that happens. Like, I'm putting some, because the reality is he is our president right now. So I'm actually putting some really good vibes in his direction that he does that he and his team do a good job. Do I believe they will?
It depends.
But you know, it is what it is right now. So
it is the big concern. That's why he's toning down. Believe it or not, he is toning down his word language regarding the tariffs on China. I think somebody whispers in his ear that, you know what, this is gonna be devastating for both countries, not just us. For both. I think.
For both.
I think someone whispers to his ears that you're going to need to tone it down because when you crunch the numbers, it doesn't add up. We're going to end up.
In my opinion, it's all for show.
And the same arguments can be made about these Panama aspects. Because here's the thing. When you go to Panama Canal.
Let's dive into Panama.
When you go to Panama Canal, most of the goods for American go through this, but also China. However, this is a Singaporean cargo ship that is transiting through there. However, what happened when China opened up are you familiar with the port in Peru?
I don't know what it's called.
Choca, something like that. If you guys know the name,
put it in the
Sorry,
chat.
I forget it. I always forget it. I don't know why. But anyway, when China opens up that, because China invested into that, well, what is going to do to China? Not to the US, and rightly so. It cut down the traveling time by about 2 weeks. Well, think about huge. 2 weeks for insurance, the cost that comes with that. So the China's presence in Latin America, what's pushing Trump to consider taking over. Second thing is, you will be in violation of international law if you're taking a sovereign territory belongs to another country. Just because you are America, so what?
Well, so there's a tactic, right? So there's a tactic that's used by salespeople all the time. Okay, if you've ever seen this on a website, it's like, you know, this valued at $7,000, this valued at $8,000, whatever. So but then it's like, you can buy it for only $59 or whatever it is, right? So what you do is you shock people with a number first, so that when you have, so that like psychologically they've already gone to like the worst possibility. So then when you come down, people are way more open to whatever it is you have, right? Because they look at the $7,000 and they're like, oh no, $7,000. I can't afford that. Oh my God, whatever. And so then when it's like only $59.99, you're like, oh, okay, $59.99, I can do that, right? But if you started as like, this worth $20, but then it's $59.99, you think it's a bad deal. So this is what I think is happening. Trump is he's a salesman and he's a promoter, like from the very beginning, right? So if you go to a country and you say, we're going to take you over by force, and they're like, no, screw you, because they're taking it seriously, right? So, like Denmark's taking it seriously, Panama's taking it, everybody's taking it really seriously. So then when they go down and they're like, well, we're actually just going to negotiate for these deals, they're like, oh, okay, I guess we can negotiate for these deals. It's a tactic being used on the global stage. I do not think he is actually going to like take Greenland or Panama by force. That's ridiculous.
I don't see him doing that one. Oh, thank you very much, Karakulak. Thank you very much, Hanging G. The name of the port is Shanghai.
Oh, cool.
Shanghai. I always forgot.
Yeah.
And I see it spelled with the CHANCY. So there are two different spelling for it, but thank you very much for that. So the idea of understanding, that is what's at the heart of it, is the idea that I was in China, guys. You all know this one, and I am planning on heading back to Asia in a few months. And I was very, very surprised in a good way for the massive advancements that is visible was to me in the streets, in the infrastructure, in buildings, in how clean things are. And so I even to the point, and if you allow me to share this, I to the point said to myself, I am going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So this way nobody will think I'm only showing them one. And I stepped outside 3 o'clock in the morning. First of all, do you think I was worried about my safety? Zero, none. And I saw a female was walking by herself. No judgment, guys, because she might be just ending her shift or something. The fact that she was walking by herself with no worries.
Poland too. I love Poland.
Second thing is there were people working. They worked third shift. Do I think I saw some people sleeping? But guess what? When I asked about it, I asked the hotel where I was staying in the morning. They said, no. Those guys live very far. They sleep when they're done with their shift and be up at 5:30 in the morning and go home. So it wasn't about homeless. I didn't see people with carts like what we see here under bridges. So let's just be honest. Did I see everything? No. I didn't.
Right. And the reality is that actually right now China is going through some of its own economic challenges. Don't come at me, guys. That's a fact. China's going through some of its own economic challenges. That does not mean anything bad about China.
No, it's not.
They are a country that have their own struggles. Like that's just a reality. And so China is dealing with some of its own, like I did a deep dive personally into
you've been in China.
I have. And I love China also.
To those who do not know. Can you share with the community what you've done when you went to China and Korea and all that?
My degree is in global business. That's what I'm trained in. That's what my degree is in. And when I graduated, I wanted to be an expat. I wanted to live in China. I wanted to live in Asia because I've actually always been really fascinated.
We can do a show. We can do a show from China.
I would love to go back.
I gotta convince your husband. I gotta convince your husband now. He's a smart dude, what the company. By the way, we will talk about that one as far as if you own a company and you need someone to take care of your
IT and cybersecurity.
Her husband is the guy to go to. He's already getting some calls from some companies here in the US that they want him to. But anyway, that's a conversation. We will talk about that.
We will talk about that.
So
so my degree is in global business. So I did corporate visits throughout China and South Korea.
When was that?
I was about 10-ish years ago.
So that was in a different time frame
it was in a different time frame, but I mean,
but did you notice
it was still beautiful and amazing.
But did you notice the changes in China when you went back then?
I did, and I will say, so I went to Beijing. I did not travel around China, so I will say that there are
So
other
you stayed
parts
in
of
Beijing.
China. I stayed in Beijing.
Well, that was organized trip anyway, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, you know, if you're going for business, quite frankly, even if you're going for tourism, there is a level of the Chinese government makes sure you can go these places.
Okay.
And, you know, I had a handler. I had like
I see.
a person that went around
the
with
language.
They speak the language because I did not encounter very many people who spoke English. Like they did in the corporate world. So the people I was talking to in the corporations did speak English. But even, you know, even in our hotel and all of that, it was hit or miss whether you got someone who could speak English. But so I will say Beijing at the time had a little bit of growing up to do still. But like I said, I have not been there recently, so I don't know what it is like right now. South Korea was beautiful. Oh God, it was beautiful. It was stunning. It's one of my favorite places in the world. It's so beautiful. And everything was peaceful. So I was there actually during the Buddha's birthday festival, and it was the only time I've ever been in a crowd of people where everyone was calm. Because you get in a crowd of people anywhere else in the world and everyone's like pushing and shoving and it's loud and whatever. Buddha's birthday, people everywhere.
I agree with you with that.
It was so calm.
Yeah, because
it was peaceful. It was amazing.
I witnessed that in Oktoberfest festival that they had. When we arrived during the time of the festival. It was back jammed, but orderly, and everybody
was calm. There's no trash on the ground. Everything was beautiful and clean. That's someplace I absolutely adore. I would love to go back.
So you are absolutely correct. But there are challenges in the Chinese economy. I mean, nobody's denying this. But on the other hand, you look at the other side of the coin and you see that they just posted a surplus of $996 billion, almost $1 trillion, a surplus.
Yeah.
So the question becomes is for you and I, when was the last time we had a surplus in this country?
And we won't have a
the one I remember.
See that.
I don't know if you will remember that or not, but it was
Bill
Clinton.
Yeah,
era.
Bill Clinton's the last
That was
time,
the only time, and it wasn't much anyway.
No, but at least it was like compared to right now. At least it was, So and quite frankly, I don't want to compare the United States to China anymore
we can't.
Because it really isn't a versus. We are not a versus in this world. They're humans and deserve happiness and deserve to live well, and we're humans and deserve happiness and deserve to live well. So I don't want to do the versus. But China has their own strengths and weaknesses, and we have very different ones. But fundamentally, it's very interesting. I'm very curious to see what Donald Trump does, because the one thing I have not necessarily heard much about is like, how do you fix some of the like debt problem that we have here,
which is major.
And I want to talk for a second about Canada and Mexico and
the
whole unification of Canada, Mexico, and sort of Central America through it's sort of through the top of South America, really. Because like Canada, for example, is in very bad economic shape. So like if we're talking about countries that are in bad economic shape, Canada is like really up there. So I read an article that was talking about apparently Canadians, unfortunately, this is like actually terrible. 24.9. So it's about 25% of their income actually goes to servicing their debt, which is horrific. That is a fourth of their income going to service debt. And you know, as Trudeau said bye-bye, Canada is in really bad shape. So like when Donald Trump is talking about like, he's going to like take over Canada, Canada's the 51st state or whatever, Canada is not doing well overall economically and really needs some help. What I don't want is, so there's a level of cooperation that I think is fantastic between Central America, Mexico, United States, Canada, right? There's a level of cooperation I think is fantastic. What I don't necessarily want is the like one world government that's like one governing entity.
It's not gonna work
to govern the entire thing. Work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not gonna work given Donald Trump's speech. That's what I'm gonna do the live stream on from a political aspect. The speech that I listened to that Gavin Davos. It's a straightforward. And I'll talk with you guys on the other channel about that one. So let me go back to one point because I want to share the word for word. And I quote, Chinese customs data showed a surplus of US dollar $992 billion for 2024, a leap from the record 838 billion US dollars surplus in 2022. Exports of steel hit a 9-year high. Those of EVs increased by 13%, and those of high-end equipment by nearly 40%, all while China e-commerce trade more than doubled since 2020. So this is what you guys need to understand, the economic aspects of it and how it is linked to you. I don't care what part of the world you live in. You're going to feel that should the US moves forward with those tariffs, China's going to retaliate. Both countries going to end up paying the price, but the rest of the world will. Economically speaking, you look at for us here in the US, I mean, already now you got President Trump asking OPEC to lower the price. Do you think OPEC's going to do it? Heck no. Do you think now President Trump threatening Russia with sanctions? Do you think if he does that and OPEC will lower the price? Even if OPEC does, OPEC Plus will not. You know, and remember, OPEC Plus is the coordination between OPEC member and OPEC Plus. Adds Russia to that. So it just doesn't make any sense, because approaching the world in that manner, which will impact your economy, which translates to us. You know, those people, they will stand in the front line during his inauguration. I looked at some numbers. Give an example of Elon Musk himself. Moved from $25 billion in 2013 to $249 billion as of 2024. Mark Zuckerberg, same thing, moved to 213. What's the other weirdo guy? Jeff Bezos. Was the same. It tells you right there. So what's the question becomes is, what's in it for the average citizen who's going to have to worry now if the tariffs goes up?
Well, and so that's what I'm saying is I actually don't think that that's what Trump is going to do. What I think is it's the sales game, right? I think
scaring them
into being like scaring them into taking a deal that's less than the deal that they would have taken before. And that's what I really think is happening here is Trump is on the side of US corporate interests. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a good thing for everyday people. Okay. That actually is probably terrible for everyday average people. But you even saw he's really in the pocket of tech. He was, I'm not going to say this, but he was, it's very clear that is at least a very large portion of his support group, right? And it's interesting that Mark Zuckerberg came out with this whole thing of like, oh, do you remember all that censorship we were doing? That's really the Biden administration's fault. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. So, it really is a the outgoing administration. It's their fault. So if you want to blame somebody that's already out, not us, not our fault, right?
So is that why he's saying now we're going to have to end censorship in America?
Yes, because fundamentally people in the United States are waking up. The problem with that is that what do the people think, that the elites are just going to be like, oh, okay, here you can have your control. So I don't know if this is who it was, but I was talking to my husband and he told me that I think it's Woodrow Wilson, he said, went to the robber barons and he back in the day, right? And he said, look, if you guys don't give the people something, I cannot protect you from them. You cannot take everything from people because they will rebel. And we've seen that throughout history.
Well, go back to Henry VIII.
Go French Revolution. I mean, it's like over and over and over again. If you take too much from people, they will rebel. You must keep them comfortable or they will rebel over you. No one is comfortable here in the United States. You are either poor or you're rich, and there is no in between anymore. There is no comfort anymore. You don't go to the grocery store, there's no comfort. And so if you take comfort away from the people, if they know that the power is being taken away from them, they'll revolt. So they're giving us some power back. which I'm grateful for. I'm absolutely grateful for, and let's keep getting more.
Yeah, but let's hope it translates to people's pockets, because that's what matters at the end of the day. That's what matters. You know, if people can have this so-called freedom and all that, and can afford to have dinner, that's a problem.
Right. Well, that's not really freedom in my opinion.
Yeah. Freedom ain't gonna feed people or families, whatever. That's a reality versus, I mean, statements versus reality are on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's just the way it is. The idea, the fact that we are witnessing now this, and here's a question for you, and you guys take part of it too if you want an answer. And the question is, do you think now the rest of the world can move with, will it be a world without the United States? As we see now where this shift is taking place. Because remember, you are talking about the financial aspects that is now shifting away from the dollar. You're talking about less interest in partnership with the United States. You're looking at a more and more regional alliances aligning with their own objective. I look at it now in Asia and so forth. So do you think we are at a stage where the world order can, or the global world will be without America? Can be a world without America?
So I'm going to say this. I think that the United States has been a really bad player on the world stage for many years. The wars that the United States has either directly started or has been involved in have created a horrific loss of life.
Yeah.
I think that the IMF, like we know now that the IMF over decades has been putting countries into all kinds of financial debt. So overall, I do not think that the United States has been a good guy. I think the United States has been a bad guy over many decades. But the United States is still, and I hope that the people are who change that, because there is no will for war right now. There is no desire. I don't even, if Trump wanted to do Panama or Greenland, the people here would be like, look, we cannot keep sending money. Germany pulled back 3 billion euro for Ukraine. They had promised a new 3 billion aid package, and Olaf Scholz just pulled that
but you
back.
know why? You know why that is? It was just a fight yesterday. A fight in Germany. When I say fight, not a physical one. It's a verbal, between the two extremes in Germany, the far right and far left. And the far right, I forgot her name, and I mentioned it way back. She is more poised to become the next chancellor. You know her first 2 orders of business? Cut off the aid to Ukraine and reconsider this EU nonsense. That was
absolutely.
That's why that incompetent Olaf Scholz did. Given that I listened to his I listened to his speech in Davos. You know what he was talking about? It was about that the far right do not have the right to express themselves. Hold on a second, idiot.
You can't do that, because the people are starting to push back on that.
And they are seeing this in Europe.
Absolutely.
We saw it here with the election of Trump, of course. And now there are concerns in Europe that Trump is going to hammer them with the tariffs. They're saying they're going to push back.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to say is I don't think Trump is going to implement all of these things, but what his administration, because, you know, he is like the front guy, right? It's always the president's like the front guy, and then you have a whole administration. What I think is this is the sales tactic straight up, is like, I don't think he's going to put all these massive tariffs on anybody. What I think is that they're going to go for now a lesser than they would have originally agreed to, because the United States is still the largest economy. China's catching up. Don't get me wrong.
They will take over. Chinese will take over.
Well,
in our lifetime.
Just because that's how cycles work, right? Like that's how cycles work. But the United States now with Trump is at least doing something. Is it a bullying tactic? And do I think it's what should be done? No, I don't. But it is, I think, what's happening. And so I don't think, and we said this before, the United States isn't just going to like be like, oh, okay, China, here, you can take over, no big deal, we'll just like step back. That's not going to happen. There's too much money involved, there's too much power involved. So I don't think that, at least within my lifetime, I don't think that the United States is going to not become a player, because even if China comes up, I think it's going to teeter totter for a little while before the US becomes second. But I don't know. Do you mean like, is the United States going to like step off the global stage?
No. That's not what I meant. No. What I meant is that the world will move on with or without the US. That's my point.
Well, and I think because of Donald Trump, the US is like back in the fight. Whether I don't know how that's going to turn out.
But even with that, even with the fight, countries will be thinking about, do we need to engage in this tit for tat, or should we consider about the welfare of our people? That's the way I see it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's why I see it.
That's why I think he came out swinging the way he did. Is because you're able to talk somebody into a more rational position after you've been irrational first. It's crazy that human beings work that way, but it is how we fundamentally work.
And the way I see, the reason what prompts me to that question is, once again, the trends that I've seen. And one particular one, guys, that I need you to pay close attention, I am sure you might be aware of, is that China is planning on taking over some let down companies in Germany, Volkswagen.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Volkswagen.
That's the reason why is that important is because Volkswagen has been the face of German economy. No matter how you look at it, Mercedes is there, BMW and all that. Volkswagen has been, and especially
with a bit of a dark history.
Yeah, when you look, of course, when you look at what took place in Dresden, I had I don't know if I kept it or not.
I think I have that. If you
no, it's a picture.
Oh, okay. No, I don't know.
I have it right here. Hey, I learned how to navigate.
You do phenomenal, David.
So
you do great.
I learned how to navigate now, especially with this new computer.
Guys, we brought him over to the Apple side. Not that it's a better computer, because
I like it. It's
but
here's an image, guys. I want to show you. This is the plant in Dresden, which, by the way, saw demonstrations of Volkswagen, but a Chinese now is going to take, because the company is going down. The economy of Germany is going down. That is the reason why you are seeing what you are seeing. The other one, it was two other pictures. I have another one. Just bear with me, guys. And I should have done this earlier before I got here to the studio.
It's okay.
I got sidetracked with some other stuff. This is an image of what's his name? Olaf.
I don't see anything.
You don't?
No. Do you guys see anything? You put
right
there he is.
Right
there he is.
This is when he said about the far right shouldn't be. I think he's realizing. He is realizing what's going on right now with the emergence of those groups. And the last picture I want to share with you is this one about China surplus, like I mentioned, and I read to you the word for word, but they have this image of an indication of the surplus part of it. That's. And by the way, I remember when I was in Shanghai, I saw the port where they do. Oh my gosh, one
of the things that I went and did in South Korea is, Hyundai also has ship manufacturing. So I went to the ship manufacturing, like it's basically like a really large parking lot. Like a really, really large parking lot that has these ships that they're in different stages of being built. It was easily one of the most extraordinary things I've ever seen. It literally felt like being in Star Trek, because these ships, they're in different stages of being built. Oh my God, it was extraordinary.
There is one thing, there is a possibility, if I ever make it, or when I make it again to China, I might end up visiting the major plants for BYD.
Interesting. Going and seeing factories is
main
interesting.
One. The main one.
Interesting.
So that's down the road. Anyway, that's so when you think about the idea of Germany China, wanted to buy this auto industry, it highlights to you now where that shift in the economy is moving on a global stage, but it trickles down to you.
Yeah.
Because now you're seeing, or all those who've been saying, yes, the EV market is growing. Nobody's denying this. On the other hand, you listen to what Trump just said today about drilling for oil here in the US, about using coal still in case. That gives you an idea right there where the economy, global one that is moving, and how much countries now are very strategizing as to where to focus the investments on.
Well, and really we're looking ultimately at natural resources. And that sort of brings us back to Greenland. And natural resources is something that I would like to talk more about, because fundamentally that's where the big fight is, right? It's in oil, it's in lithium, it's in rare earth minerals, because what wins a country right now is technology. Who has the greatest, best technology? And unfortunately, the United States has not put as much emphasis on that. For the United States, that's unfortunate. China, fortunately for them, they have really put, and I mean, honestly, like being in South Korea was like being on another planet. I mean, everything was so high tech. If you come to the United States is cobbled together. Like my husband and I were driving somewhere, and I was looking at like, the old power lines and like, the streets or whatever. I was like, this country is cobbled together. Everybody did not rise at once, clearly. But whoever wins the technology race is who wins, because technology enhances weapons. It enhances power. It enhances quality of life. When everyone on the planet, for the most part, has a phone, whether it has a smartphone, right? Has a smartphone, has a laptop, has a TV, has a whatever, whoever wins the tech game is who wins.
Well, that's why when Trump mentioned about the $500 billion in AI, they already got to push back, because I think, because if I am to guess, and this is just my own guess, Elon Musk pushed back against that is because Elon Musk knows we don't have the infrastructure.
We don't even have close to infrastructure.
So 500 billion for what? You're just going to throw it there. There's one thing I need to mention before I forget, guys, and this one has to do with the latter points regarding China's purchase of the Volkswagen thing, why they wanted to buy it in Germany. Why do you guys think that is? It's because they Chinese in this case, thinking far ahead. Should these tariffs move forward, because if they buy a manufacturer inside on a European soil, they will not be subject to tariffs. That is the smart move as to why they want. It's not they care for Germany. I will see China doing this in Hungary. I will see China doing this in Serbia. I will see China doing this. That's the only two other countries. They couldn't trust the Italians. You couldn't trust the French, of course. And Poland, maybe. There's possibility. Actually, Poland is considering certain aspects to this, even though Poland had the opportunity for the BRI. Remember? So, but the other countries in Eastern Europe, they all are seeing where the trend is headed, and Romania, Bulgaria, and so forth.
Well, and I do think that one of the strengths of Donald Trump coming out like he did is that it is very clear that the United States isn't just going to lay over and die. And I think that while we had...
Wouldn't it be nice to die peacefully? That's how I would like to check out. When my time comes, I like just to go sleep and not wake up.
But the reality is that wouldn't happen no matter what. Because if the United States failed, that's hundreds of millions of people in poverty. I mean, this would not go well no matter what. Okay, so
we shouldn't be blaming anyone else but ourselves. I would say the same thing about Europeans.
Ourselves too. So I absolutely agree with personal responsibility. Okay, like we are responsible for the world we create. However, I will add this. I do not believe that corporate interests have had our best interest at heart for a long time. And they have tricked us into believing that we were powerless, that they are the ones who get to dictate what food we eat, what we watch. They're the ones who get to dictate our lives. And we've more or less gone along with that because it was slow, right? It was one step at a time. They took away a little bit. They took away our ability to grow our own food, right? Who do you know that has enough food to feed themselves from their own garden, right? No one. I don't know anybody who does that, right? So we're stuck on their grocery system. We're stuck on, food that comes from miles away, that's bad for the environment, that's full of pesticides, right? So they took away people's, and it happened one step at a time. It happened slowly. It happened, decades at a time, so that we didn't notice until we got so far down this path that it's harder to do something about. So yes, I do feel that it is absolutely personal responsibility, but I don't think that our parents and grandparents knew what was happening. I mean, mine were not here, but my half of my family was here, but I think that that's ultimately what happened, is they took our ability to care for ourselves and make a real stand for what we want. They took it away from us, because what happens if they cut off electricity? What happens if they cut off the food supply? Do you know what I mean? Everyone is screwed.
Any control for Well, there is also another point which we will conclude with this one here, guys. And the other point has to do with the BRICS.
Oh yeah, BRICS.
Now, Trump, of course, has been told about the importance, which, by the way, it was an embarrassing. He made a mistake, very embarrassing, when he said Spain was part of BRICS. He said, "Isn't Spain part of BRICS or whatever?" It was a mistake. We all make mistakes, It just was very, very unusual that I saw.
Did you hit that?
I saw that one. Yeah, I hit it by mistake.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, BRICS. Why is this important? Because you see in the expansion of BRICS, now with adding Indonesia being a full member, Thailand is on the way, there are many concerns as to the inside members that are from within, like India. And I talk straightforward about this. I've been saying it. So this is why Trump now is planning. I think Trump is going to go to India. He's going to India. And but also we know, because we use India to our ends. That's why we convinced it to join the Quad and win our own bidding. My big concern with BRICS expansion and India is the idea that India could be undermining the progress of BRICS itself. So,
well, and as BRICS grows, that is a fundamental question for them and problem, because when it was just the original
5
BRICS nations, there was a little bit more control, right? But as you grow, bigger. There are more variables and there are more players that come to the table and more needs that need to be spread out. So I'm very interested because there's obviously a plus to BRICS growing, but the challenge to BRICS growing is that now there are more voices.
That's true. Well, when you look at the whole thing, how it's going to evolve, that usually brings a lot of changes with it. That's going to impact the economic trajectory. So, all right, guys. Well, we hope you find this very, very informative. As I said again, we are redirecting the channel's direction now. We'll be talking about geopolitics and money, meaning what it means to you, to your pockets. So even the guests will be bringing here deals with the economic, because we want, the whole reason for, of course, it took too long for us, whatever, but for some other reasons also, we want you also to get something out of this. This is not about just showing up in front of a camera here, whatever, because if you're not learning anything, then what's the point?
Well, and fundamentally, the way that the largest wealth transfer in history happened over the last 5-ish years, a little bit more than that. The reality is that if you do not take responsibility, so like somebody said this earlier, like, did we allow this to happen? Yeah, we did allow this to happen. And you guys are the ones that are going to go out and change the world in whatever country you live in. And we want to give you guys as many resources as possible to go do that. Everything is financial. So whatever we can do to help you guys and us too. I mean, I would love to grow this show to have a real global impact. And so
that will be nice.
Yeah.
That will be nice, and this is why we ask for your support, as we always say, one step at a time.
Yes.
So that's usually it's where things are economically for everybody. It's not an easy thing, we understand, but so anyway, you can do whatever you can to help the channel here. So just a reminder quickly here, and I'm going to put it in the chat box for you. This is a link for my live stream interview tomorrow with none other than Professor Anna Manendog. So we'll be talking about the conditions in Philippines, especially in light of the discovery now of the really massive corruption in the 2025 budget.
Yeah.
Massive
money. Geopolitics and money.
So I'll be talking about that tomorrow with Anna Manendog. So I hope you guys can join me if you can make it. So, and so till then,
well, keep a lookout, because I'm going to change the name of the channel. So guys, be aware, I'm going to change the name of the channel. It's Geopolitics and Money.
It's still us,
and it's still us.
We're going to even change the introductory video. Yep. We did the whole facelift for the whole channel. So
absolutely.
And it's nice for change.
Yeah.
It is nice. Sometimes it's nice to do.
It's something I'm very excited about. And it's something I'm really passionate about. So, why is it the elites are the only ones who get to say, because they have the power, they have the money. Well, you know what? If it gets spread out to the rest of us, then we have more say.
Well, why not? So anyway, guys, well, we hope you guys enjoy this, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.